Good morning, everybody. We are back. A good Vach, good week to everybody here in Avos Shalom, our viewers in Torah Anytime, and in on our YouTube channel. We're going to be soon featured in Metzia Hashem also in Kol HaLashon, hopefully Bezras Hashem, and also on national. I'm joking. Now we are inside the Gimel Amud Beis of Metzia. This Shiur is Nishmas of Imor Menachem Ben Akiva, Rus Bas Shalom Sor Bas Moshe. ולרפואס יאיר בן חסיבה, נינה חיה בס גאולה רוכל, אביבה בס דבוירו, and נעמה בס רוכל רמה, דוד בן מזל, דוד בן גולדה, חיים בן סטי, אריק, יצחק בן מiriam. We are now learning, and this is a bit of an introduction before we go on. What is our topic? What's the issue we're learning about? We're learning about the four guards, the Arba Shoimrim. Very famous halacha, Arba Shoimrim. Yeah, we know that there are four levels of shmira in halacha. There are four levels of people who guard one's property, the property of the friend. One does it for money, one does it not for money, one is the borrower, and one is the renter. And we know that the halacha is, as we saw in the Mishnah, in the previous Amud, the Mishnah told us that a shomer chinam, as opposed to shomer socho, the shomer chinam is only chayv on pshia, and shomer socho is gneva v'aveda. What does it mean, gneva v'aveda? That's exactly what we're trying to find out. And Rabbah told us, in the previous sugya, earlier in the Amud, Rabbah says that if you have a shomer socho, such as a shepherd, and the shepherd, there was actually such a case in the times of the Gemara, the shepherd was, looking after the sheep by the river bank, and one sheep fell into the water. That is not considered as pshia, which is negligence in English, but it's considered as gneva v'aveda, which is a higher level. Gneva v'aveda, and even, it would have been considered gneva v'aveda, which is the level above pshia. It's somewhere between negligence and oines, which is completely out of control. Rabbah was mechadesh that this is considered like oines. Oines means something out of the person's control. And everyone's asking, what? It's out of your control to control one sheep out of, 20, 30 that falls into the river? And Rabbah explains, Rabbah had a whole different understanding of the term oines or gneva v'aveda. Rabbah says a chiddush. Rabbah says that if the shomer socho, the paid worker, the paid guard, is guarding the animals or the money or the whatever, or the computer or the diamonds, whatever he guards the same level as the person himself would, the owner, that anything beyond that is called oines. Meaning, oines, according to Rabbah, doesn't mean that the person, was attacked by robbers or by lions or by anything dramatic, completely out of control. Out of control means I'm supposed to control the animals as much as the Bailam would. Then the Gemara challenged Rabbah. Remember from where? From our forefather Jacob. Yaakov Avinu told Lavan, I looked after your animals. How? Very, very well. I was eaten by the heat and eaten by the cold at night. And that is way more than a regular person would do for just a bunch of sheep. And says the Gemara, that is what? And Chinami, that is Niture, that is Chazani Mata. Chazani Mata, people who look after people's lives, also at night, and the people are completely reliant upon them, they have to really look after the property and the souls, the neshamas, the life much, much better. Like basically bodyguards. And the Yaakov Avinu, although he looked after money, he went above and beyond his call, and he said, I actually, he told Lavan, looked after your sheep as if I was supposed to look after your children. Way, way better, and still have claims against me. But if a person only looks after his friend's property for money, and we're dealing with money, he's looking after property, after goods, then all he has to do is guard it as well as a shomer. He had a different svara, we're going to see today. Asive. Comes a brisa, what's an asive? Asive is always a question from a brisa, from a mishnah. Let's see what the brisa has to say, which seems to be a challenge to what we just saw on behalf of Rabbah. Asive. Roya shoyo roya. There was a roya, a shepherd that was shepherding. The animals were grazing. He was looking after the animals. V'aniach edroy. He left the eder behind. He left the eder. He left the flock, the herd behind him. Ubala here, he went to town. He wants to buy some soda. And that, by the way, we saw that before. We saw that before. Sometimes it was normal and accepted to leave the flock behind for, I don't know, long 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Certain times of day were considered more safer, and people would go to town and back. As we said, in an Israeli building, if the crime is not, it's not a crime-ridden neighborhood, it's quite normal to leave your door unlocked or even open and go to the neighbor and schmooze for 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. Some people would, some wouldn't, but it's not considered. Yeah, that's, we don't have to be so, helicopter, you know. So he looked after, he left his flock and he went to town, the roya. And then what happened next? Bozev v'toraf uba ori v'doras. Let's say a wolf came and devoured the animal. Now Rashi says the difference between toraf and doras is the wolf actually takes the animal to his hiding place and that's where he kills it. Uba ori v'doras. The lion is more courageous. The lion actually eats the animal alive on the spot, in the open. Doesn't take it to the hiding place. I'm not sure where Rashi says that. Yeah, but basically that's National Geographic for you, lahavdil. The Ari, the Zev, they go, they eat, and that's what happened. Now, that's not a real case. It's a theoretical case. If a bad animal would come, then ein oimrim, the real version should be oimrim, ein oimrim ilu hoyo shom hoyo matzil. We don't say, hey, had you been there, you could have saved it. Because what really happened here? It was oinus at the end, right? So don't say, no, it's not oinus, and the guy's negligent for leaving the flock behind. And then we say, had you been there, things would have been better. We don't say that you could have managed with the lion and the wolf, because later, actually, we'll see sometimes it's manageable. We don't say that. Ella, rather, oim din with a dalid. What's le'emod? We assess, we gauge, we assess. We assess the situation. Im yochel hatzil chayev v'im lav potter, which means the guy went to town, which is what I assume it's pshia. I don't know. He went to town with no permission, left the flock behind, and then we'll see. Let's gauge the situation. Let's assess it. If you could have saved the flock from the lion, you're chayev, you're pashia. You could have done better. Had you stayed there when the lion was there, you could have faced him, and you didn't, and you're chayev. It's pshia. V'im lav potter, and if not, you're potter. Sorry. If not, if you couldn't have saved the flock from the lion was too big and you're too small, then you'd be potter. That's just translation. Now let's try and analyze that. My love must be what? The al be'idna da'ili inshi. Oh, we assume that, says Gemara now, attacking Rabbah and saying, what's the al? He came into town. Be'idna, what's idna? In the time, very good, the aili inshi, which means, let's say we assume that the shepherd went into town, I don't know, between 4 and 4:15, where it's very normal to leave your flock behind. Maybe the other shepherds in the area that, keep an eye. Whatever. It was normal time for him to leave the place. And Rabbah refers to that as what? As oinus. So according to you, Rabbah, something is wrong. Because what are we saying? Although you left them when it's normal to leave them behind, like leaving the unlocked door, yet we say that if you could have managed against the lion or against the wolf, you're chayiv. Why? According to your rabbi, it should always be potter, because the actual situation of me, the shepherd, leaving it when it's normal to leave it means it's one big oinus. So I don't care if later on the wolf was small and I'm big and muscular. Who cares? You define that whole situation as an absolutely okay thing to do, right? What does Rabbi say? If I acted as the Baal Limud act, it's fine. If I left the door unlocked and the robber came, but everyone leaves their door unlocked, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then it's fine. And yet here we see it's not fine. Here we see that had you been able to fight it, you'd be chayev, you're poshea. Yeah, or at least you gneva vaveda, even if it's not pshia. But we don't see that as oines. Answers the Gemara, no, must be what? No, Rabbah would tell you. Now that's Rabbah's, we're now defending Rabbah. We're saying, no, the al be'irna deloy aili inshi. No, he actually went to town when people usually don't go into town. Let's say the different times, different places. Yeah, but Idana, it's Idan time when nobody goes to town. Let's say, I don't know, let's say 10 o'clock in the morning is a very dangerous time. Everybody knows, I don't know, maybe 6 o'clock in the evening. Maybe then all the wolves come out, the wolves get dangerous, or robbers, or things, it's dangerous time. Nobody leaves their flock behind. And you went to town, and you're downright poshea. That's why if we figure out that later you could have managed against the animal and you didn't, you pasha through and through and you have to pay. Okay, very good. Or at least gneva vaveda, let's leave the option open. Ihochi, Fregdingmar, wait a second. If so, according to you, Rabba, it's pshia. Excuse me, it's not. We don't leave the option open. No, no, no. According to Rabba, that is called pshia. Ihochi, if you call going to town pshia, am I potter? Why is he potter? Why is he potter in the case where the animal was manageable? Let's again analyze what's going on here. Let's not get confused. Let's have two different dots on the timeline. 9 o'clock in the morning, he left, and he decided, oh, out of cigarettes, already 9 o'clock in the morning. Got to go to town to buy cigarettes. Who leaves the flock 9 o'clock in the morning? Nobody. So that's happened 9 o'clock, right? And what does Rabbi say? That's an act of pshia. 9:45 came what? Well, one of the two. Either came a huge lion, something from the real scary scenes, and what? And you couldn't have managed. What do we say? That's oinus. What could have I done? Even if I was there, wouldn't have helped. I'm just one lonely guy, and I'm not Arnold. I can't fight a big lion. I'm not Shimshon a Gibor. So anyhow, it's oinus. And if it was a little kleiner wolf, which I could have managed against with a big stick, I would hit him. Then it's okay. I'm potter. That's what we're saying, basically, right? There's the beginning, which was pshia. Why? And I could have managed. He could have managed. That's why he has to pay. Yeah, he has to pay. Sorry, I should have finished the sentence. Yeah. But now the question is, you guys should really be familiar with the term of chilosa b'pshia v'sofe b'oinus. We had it in daf, mem and beis l'mitzvov. If so, am I potter? If it was real pshia, not just neva vaveda. If 9 o'clock in the morning, leaving to town to buy cigarettes, yeah, and that was something that should have been done is an oinus, then even if 9:45 was a big scary 10 lions came and definitely could have managed, am I potter? Why is he potter over there? Famous line. No, we have the big machloikas, yeah, in different places, yeah, and that is what happens with chilosoi b'pshia v'soife be'oinus. Remember what happens when the person was pasher, downright pasher, negligent, and he shouldn't have, and later the reason why the item was damaged was an oinus. Yeah, let's say somebody left. Remember the case, the famous case of Srifa Durvani? Somebody left money in a lonely shack made out of very flammable material, a rova, in the middle of the forest. Ganovim don't go there. Thieves don't go to the middle of the forest. They don't expect anything to be there. True? So he left it there in a place where it's highly flammable. It's going to burn. What happened at the end? The thieves came. It came from left field. So what do we pass? It's a big machloek. We pass chayiv. So the question is, if this is really clear pshia, if it's mamish pshia, I don't care if later on it was just oinus and 10 big lions came that he can't face them. At the end of the day, you started it with the left foot, with negligence, you should be chayiv. That's also difficult. Answers the Gemara, no. Comes the whole different story. The story is different. The shoma kol arye ve'al punto. No. He didn't go to town to buy cigarettes, whistling all the way. The reason why he went to town was to save his life. He heard the voice of a lion, Kol Arya, the Al, what's Al? Leul, came into town, which means he heard a really scary roar of a lion, not from the Malcha Zoo and not from the Bronx Zoo. He heard it from where? Nearby. So that was really, really scary, and that was complete oinus. He had to run for his life. And, wait a second. Ihochi frag the Gemara. Oindin oisai. If so, what's this business of we assess this, assess that? What could have he done? In other words, if you completely turn over the case and you're telling me that the whole thing was one big oinus right from the start, so scary to hear the lion's voice, and there was real lion near there, he wasn't hallucinating, what could have he done? Yeah, because you do tell me the 9:45 when the catastrophe really happened, yeah, you're telling me there is a situation it could have helped, and in other cases it couldn't have. Potter or chayv. No, you just told me otherwise. Right? So get what I'm saying. We're between a rock and a hard place. Let's summarize the question. What happened 9 o'clock? What did it is? We are private investigators now, yeah? We are the detectives. We are the police. If 9 o'clock in the morning was pshia, then what? He should always be chayv. Chilosa b'pshia. And if 9 o'clock in the morning when he went to town, he ran for his life, then it's always oinus. So how come he can leave both options open? How could that be? Yeah, it's either all oinus or all pshia. What's going on here? Answers the Gemara, and that is, we're getting to the final answer. He should have given mekadem. He should have welcomed the lion with roin umaklois. He should have whistled or maybe WhatsApped all the other friends in the area. Yeah, all the other gananot, all the other shepherds in the area. They should all take big sticks, right, and hit the lion or the wolf, which means sometimes they could do that, sometimes not. Let's retell the whole story. There's really no 9 or 9:45. It's really one long story. It's not like starting with X and finishing with Y. It's all one big story, meaning he heard the voice of a lion, not exactly whispering in his ear, "You're a great guy." He really heard a lion roaring. Oh, now there are two options. If he could have got help, if he could have called, the rescue service, the Hatzalah, the police, yeah, with Roimun Maklois, that everyone should pull their guns and face the lion, then what is he? And he didn't, and he ran to town like a chicken instead of getting help, which he could have. Then what is he? A Paishaya. Then he's a Poshea, and then what? He's Chayev. If the lion was there and there were no other friends, no klita, no reception, he can't call anybody, police wouldn't come, third world country, then what? There's no other choice. Then he's an honest and he's potter. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, okay, Akiva, what do you want to ask? Yeah. The question is, what's the chiddush? Obviously, it's like so simplistic. Yeah. If he could have gotten Roy Mumaklois and he didn't, he's a Poshea. And if he couldn't, he's an honest. Well, what's the chiddush here? Yeah. The answer is, I'm also answering, yeah. The answer is, good question, Akiva. The answer is what? The answer is that's a chiddush, as we're going to see soon, that the level of shmira required from a shomer sachar is to get help. In other words, one could claim and say, listen, I don't have to start driving everyone else crazy. I don't have to start getting help from here and there while the danger is getting close to me. Maybe not, right? Who says that's within the limitations of a shomer sachar? The chiddush is yes, you get paid, so you don't just have to play, we call in Hebrew rosh katan. Don't play it low profile and say, it's either me against the line or me running away. I don't have to start all balagan to call all my friends and this and that and start getting ammunition. Or says, yes, you're shomer sachar, you're chayev, yes, to get more than the minimal help of yourself. You're supposed to gather other people and more weapons in order to fight. And that is a chiddush b'shomer sachar. Give me a second. Frag the Gemara. Now, the next question now that I said it, the next question will be much more juicy than otherwise. If so, you're telling me shomer sachar, he's the one supposed to get help? My area shomer sachar. What's my area? What's the chiddush? What's the big deal? Dafka shomer sachar. Afilo shomer chinam nami. The shomer chinam is also supposed to get help. Shomer chinam, whose expectations are definitely lower, even he's supposed to get shomer chinam. The amar hu de omar. This is still Abai, by the way, conversing with Rabba. You, Rabba, Mar, Master, Rabba, you told us, shomer chinam shoyel lekadim beroim ubemaklois veloy kidem chayev. A shomer chinam that could have, should have, would have been mekadem, be welcome the lion, a nice welcome, face the lion with other shepherds and with weapons, and he didn't. He's chayev, meaning it's not gneva v'aveda, it's pshia. If you don't get help, or in today's world, pick up the phone, mister, and quickly call the rangers, the police, I don't know who, the security company, get them to help you. And if you didn't, then you're pasha, even shomer chinam. So why are you dafka speaking here about shomer sachar? It's not something unique to shomer sachar. That's a question, and I'm going to hear your question. Yeah, question time. Answers the Gemara. There's a difference. Yeah. Shemechinam bechinam, shemesachol besochol, and it's not just a rhyme, which means sometimes you can get help for money, sometimes you can get it for free. A shemechinam is only supposed to, let's call the police. In most normal countries, police come for free. It's a service the government gives you, right? And therefore, a shemechinam is only supposed to call his friends who are going to come for free, and with some, sticks or maybe guns for free, all free. Shomer chinam is supposed to get that. But if he's calling his friend, WhatsApping his friend, the lion's coming, and the response is $100, please, then the shomer chinam is not supposed to do anything beyond that. He's not supposed to fork money out of his own pocket. It's a shomer chinam. And if the friends are telling him only for money, and the police are not answering, third world country, you can only call a private security company that costs, I don't know, $1,000 to come. Shomer Chinam is not supposed to pay for that. Mashenkin Shomer Socho Besocho. Wow. Shomer Sochor, soon we'll see the whole story. But Alponov, it seems like the Shomer Sochor, even if the friends are telling him, yeah, we'll be happy to help you to fight against the approaching lion, but we each charge $100 each, then what? He's supposed to pay for that. You get paid, you pay for the shmira against the approaching lion, v'chule. Many questions now come to mind. The first question is, when it comes to money, to deals or shiduchim, the ad kama, how much? The ad kama, how much? How much is supposed to pay from his own pocket, the shomer sochor, right? How much? That security, the only security company in that, Northwest Vietnam, who is looking after the sheep, they charge $10,000. I don't know. Ad kama, he's supposed to pay $10,000 to save 3 sheep that cost $50. How much? Answers the Gemara, ad kedei dmehen, up until the actual worth of the sheep. Let's say the flock in total is worth $1,000, and the only shomer that's willing to come, the ranger, the private police guy that's willing to come, will take $1,001 and non-negotiable. You're not supposed to pay that. You're only supposed to pay how much? As much as the value of the actual property you're looking after. That's what it's supposed to pay. Still, the question is, wait a second, and this question is phrased interestingly. Frag the Gemara now, from his own money? From his own money? The Heichan Metzina, where did we find, where did we find the Shomer Socher Shechai Ba'oinsin? Where did we find the Shomer Socher has to pay for oines? Which means, let me explain this to you. Everybody knows that a lion coming, as of itself, that's even before Abba, a lion approaching a regular guy who's not Shimshon a Gibor, then what? That's oinsin. You're being smart with me and you say, nah, it's not oines. Why isn't it oines? Because you can call the police, because you can call the other 10 thugs, you can call the other 10 big guys, Mike Tyson, they can call 10 people, and they'll fight the lion. Oh, but listen to the Lomdus here. It is really oines. They can get out of an oines and turn it into non-oines by what? Money. So you're really telling me a shomer socher has to pay from his own pocket for a situation of oines to make it a non-oines? Something that doesn't work right, because the shomer socher is not chai b'oinsin. Why should I, as a shomer socher, have to face oines? You're telling me make it a non-oines? No, the only way to do that is through money, right? And I'm not mechuyev to pay money for oinsin. So something here doesn't work right for the Gemara. That's against Kita rules. Yeah. Answers the Gemara quickly. The hodar shakil dmen mi balabais. What's hodar? Take it back. Shakil, take it back from the balabais. It's only lending. In other words, a shomer socher will pay the $1,000, and that's what the private security company in I don't know where, Ukraine, the $1,000 they take. They're going to fight the lions very nicely, and the Russians. They will fight. They will $1,000 do the job. And after you return the flock to the balabais, the $1,000 worth flock, he'll reimburse you and pay you back the $1,000, right? That's what we're saying. Okay, very nice. And the shomer chinam is not even chuv to do that. The shomer chinam is not even supposed to lend money. Lending is also something. Who says I have cash? Yeah, or who says I'm going to get it back? Yeah, a shomer chinam is low profile, roish cotton. A shomer chinam, if I can fight it myself, I get some friends to help, or the nearby police will be quicker than a lion. Shomer chinam gesundheit. You're supposed to do that. Otherwise, you posher. Shomer socher is supposed to fork out the money, to cash it now, give the cash, and then take it back from balabais. Now, how much are we talking about? The same value as the sheep. Let's say the herd, the flock is worth $1,000. Lend $1,000, give it to the private, to the gunman, to the hitman, to kill the lion, and then get the same $1,000 worth. Give it back to the owner. Here's $1,000 worth sheep and goats and cows, and then he'll give you back the $1,000 cash. Okay, correct the Gemara. Money-wise, what's going on here? Something that doesn't make sense. Rav Papa is now asking Abaye, if that's a story and everything works so nicely, it's all exactly the same sum. He lent the sum, he saved exactly the same sum to Balabais, he's going to get it back from Balabais. My Hanile Mino, how did he help the Balabais? In other words, money-wise, the Balabais didn't gain anything. right? We're just playing with the same money again and again. In other words, he saved his. What was the big story here? Who's he? The Shomer Socher lent $1,000 to give it to the shooter, to the sniper, right? In order to save $1,000 worth of sheep, right? Gave back the $1,000 worth of sheep to Balabais, and then he's going to get it back from Balabais. So at the end of the day, let him just shoot the animals already. He didn't get anything, right? At the end of the day, you're giving him the animals, and he's giving you back the $1,000. The Balabais is not gaining anything. Exactly, the Balabais is not getting you. You're treading the same water. In other words, if we know that what's going to happen if I don't call, the shepherd himself is safe. He's okay. He's going to run into a shack. Yeah. Now the lion's going to eat the $1,000 worth sheep. Let him eat the $1,000 sheep, because at the end of the day, Balabais is still going to have to pay $1,000 cash in order to get back his sheep. So let everybody eat the sheep. Mitzad money, it's the same thing. Answers the Gemara, money is not everything. Nafkamina, there is nafkamina, the kosher dechayusa, kosher, ability. In other words, those animals are used to this balabais. Balabais wants dafka those, doli and sheepy and chepsale. He wants those sheep and those maybe dogs or those cows or those monkeys, whatever you're looking after. Those animals are already domesticated by you. They're used to you. Maybe it's a cow that plows the field. You know those animals. You prefer having them rather buying new animals. If those will be devoured and you'll have to, with the cash, you'll have to buy other animals and start training them. That's not the same thing. Those animals already used to your house. They don't run away anymore. They're domesticated. That's why you'd rather the Shomer Socher would pay someone to save the lives of those animals rather than them dying and you having to buy new animals and start training them to your household rules. You know, you go to sleep 7 o'clock in the evening, you eat your supper 6 o'clock. Yeah, it's a whole new training job. He doesn't want that. Inami. Another reason why really it's better to keep the same animals rather than to buy new ones. Very, very simple. The tircha yeterta. It's a lot of tircha. You tell me, when you sell your car and you buy a new car, tircha. It's a big tircha. What's a tircha in English? Hassle. Tircha, yeah. In other words, mapitom. Of course, I prefer retaining my own animals rather than they're starting posting, I don't know, Yad Shtaim, eBay, you know, I need new sheep. I need new, it's a big tircha to start buying a whole new flock of sheep. You never did that in my life. I don't know, even to buy and sell a car is a tircha. And therefore, that's what he saves him. And that level of shmira is more than shmira. There are always two levels. I thought that you were going to ask this. By Shomer Socher, Shomer Chinam, and all the Shomer, there's always two stories. How well do they have to guard? Right? That's one thing. And how much do they have to pay? Right? What's the level of Shmir Lechatchila? And but the Eved, what do they have to pay for? Right? So this guy has to look after the animals and not pay, but lend the money and then get the money back if it's Shomer Socher, providing that he's going to get it back, and hopefully he would. But the Maisa, that is a revach of the Balabais that it doesn't have to buy new animals. A Shomer Chinam, no. A Shomer Chinam is the Chatchila low profile. Doesn't have to start lending money, getting back the money. Shomer Chinam, if I can get extra help from my friends, from the Rangers, from wherever for free, Gesundheit. If not, then no. He has to prove it in Beis Din, he has to be Nishba, but that's the rule. We see another difference between Shomer Socher and Shomer Chinam. Oh, now comes your big moment, Zvi. Rav Chisda v'Rabba bar Rav Huna argue on all that. Lo svira lehu hod Rabba. What do you mean lo svira lehu? They don't think like Rabba. They don't believe Rabba's concept, and soon we'll review that. The Amri, they say, quoting the Balabais verbatim, what Balabais should say or would say, lehachi yahavi lach agra. For that I give you agra. For that I give you schar. I give you reward. I give you money. Oh, I'm giving you money. Three things I'm giving you: kesef, money, and geld, and also dinero. I give you money, so you should do netirusa yeterta. What's yeterta? Extra. To give extra netirusa. It's true that I sometimes leave my door open, and I sometimes leave my sheep not so protected, and it's normal and accepted. But you're not supposed to be in my shoes, in my boots. You're supposed to do better because I don't get paid for my own behavior. I'm a balabais. Don't give me musar on how I look after my animals or my kids, lahavdil. or my anything. Elama, you get paid. A paid job should be better than just what the Balabais himself would do. And that's happy now. That's the halacha. Zeh halacha. That's halacha, really, that the Balabais behaves a certain way. A Shomer Sochel supposed to behave better. Why am I now dancing? Because if you now look at Rashi, Rashi tells you you have to see this Rashi inside. We usually don't. Go up, 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 up. The line, it's about 10 or lines atop of where we are in the Gemara. Lehachi avilach. Rashi starts with the words Lehachi avilach. Venehi, although the lav pshiahu, if the shomer socho behaves the same way as balabais, it's not pshia. You can't say it's negligence. I'm as good as the balabais. It's not negligence. Oines nami loy havi. We can't get called oines either. Oines, we're back to the nice old definition of oines, drama. Oines means out of control. Now we have a crystal clear definition of that middle level between pshia and oines, gneva vaveda. So what's gneva vaveda? It means as follows. If the shomer behaved just like the balabais would, not better than that, and not worse than that, that's gneva vaveda. If something happened, there's a big machlokes in the Rishonim, Bava, Ramban, Tosfos, how to define gneva vaveda. Some gneva vaveda is this, the other. I'm happy to see a nice Amud Yomi level Gemara Rashi definition of gneva vaveda. That's why I wanted to dance. Let's revise. Now it's very clear. If the person behaves less than the shomer, than the person, if the shomer, whichever shomer, if the shomer is guarding, looking after the item less, in the level which is lesser, which is lower than the Baal Bais himself, that's pshia. Yeah, I don't leave my door open 2:00 in the morning. I want to borrow milk from my neighbor. I know he's up, yeah, and he lives 10 floors above. 2:00 in the morning. No, I don't leave my door open then. And if you did, you're a poshea, right? If you behave the same way as Baal Bais, yeah, 2:00 lunchtime, you do leave it, kids running around. It's a safer neighborhood, safer time. And you do leave it open, it's normal and accepted for Balabatim to do that. And the Shomer did the same. What is that? Gneva Vaveda. We don't hold with Rabbah. That's Gneva Vaveda. And if you're Shomer Socher, you chayiv Shemichina Potter. Okay, that's Gneva Vaveda. If you looked as well as Balabais would, and more, you behaved better than Balabais. You locked it, 2 locks, 2:00 lunchtime, very safe, and you still locked it. And although you behaved better than Balabais, a higher level of Shmira, and yet something happened that would be obviously unexpected, that is oines. A burglar came with a special kelim of burglary, some thug, some criminal, beyond my control, and that's oines. So I'm very happy that we have a clear definition of Gneva Vaveda. Again, we have to dance over now. Yeah. What's Gneva Vaveda? Gneva Vaveda means you behaved the same way as Balabais, but not better. Yeah, and then something which is non-oinus happened. You not grazed, you helped them graze. You looked after the sheep while they're grazing, and you are reading your magazine, and you're like lazing about, as normal as a regular Balabais. And one sheep fell into the water. What would we say? B'Shem Rav Chizda Rabba Baravuna, you got to pay. The Balabais would have done the same. You're getting paid. You have to be better than the Balabais. Otherwise, you called what? Gneva Vaveda level, and for Shomer Sochar, that's bad news. You got to pay. Okay? Shechianu almost L'Shem Malchus. Very nice. Okay. Let's continue. Now, story time. Okay. Bar Ada Sabulo. Bar Ada was a sabal, a schlepper, a porter. He was a man that was supposed to, schlep and pass and carry things of people from one place to the other. Havikam Avar Chayusa, he would pass on, he would make sure, look after the passing of animals, let's say sheep, whatever, animals. A gamla denarish. Gamla is like a narrow bridge. Gamla is a bridge. Yeah, there was a bridge over the river of Narish. Narish was a city, and there was a river there, and he would, help the animals pass on the bridge from one side of the river to the other. Doch v'chada lechaverto. One animal pushed its friend. V'shadisa b'maya. One sheep pushed a friend. Boom, goodbye. And I always wanted to do this to you. And threw her into the water. Also, of Papa. He came to Rav Papa. Chayve. Rav Papa the Dayan said, "You're chayvya. You have to pay." What is he? Let's assume he's a paid guy. Sabulo. He's a paid person. Yoshomer sochar. That's called at least gneva vaveda. It's not oinsin. Omer le my havi lelemebad. Now the shomer, the sabal, yeah, barada, that lost his case, is approaching the dayan, asking my havi lelemebad. What should have I done? What could have I done better? One sheep pushed the other. How could I control it? Omer le. So Rav Papa told him, yeah. Ibai lach laburi chada chada. You should have helped them pass one after the other, like a Kadosh Baruch Hu does in Rosh Hashanah. You should have lechatchila prearranged it and make sure they all pass one by one, nice and slow, one by one, which is not the common thing to do. Omer lei now Barada below is now answering Dayan Rav Papa. Yadat be bebar achtich the matzil me barchad chada. Do you know that Yod? Would you say the bar achtich, your nephew, your sister's son, would be able, Matzi, to pass them one by one? Your nephew is like we'd say in English, the Joe Schmo in the street, the Tom, Dick, and Harry. The average person would actually do that. Yeah, the men in the street, would he actually do that to pass one by one? Is that the normal done thing? Like, do you know anybody would really do that? That was the question. Meaning, the norm, as you say, normal bailim, normal people, they don't do that. They pass all the sheep together. It's not the expected thing normally. Normal behavior balabais is not to start passing them, one by one like that, handpicked. Omer lei, the Dayan replied, "V'otzavchu kamoi de kamoch." Many people before you, kamoi tzavchu, they shouted. What's kamoi? The first one. Many people before you already said that. Meaning, says the Dayan, unfazed. I've heard that many times. I've heard that argument before. And nobody actually cares about that taina. What is really the argument here, my friends? It's an argument between a dayan and the plaintiff. Exactly the same argument of Rabba and who? And Rabba bar Avhuna. The Shomer claimed like Rabba. He wasn't stupid. He said like Rabba. I behave as well as the Bailim do, and therefore it's an oinus. I'm not supposed to be on more than the Bailim. Says Diner of Papa, I'm so sorry. Basically, halacha is not like Rabba. Yeah, you may have your cards, your shita. We don't hold with Rabba. We hold with Rabba bar Avhuna that you're supposed to be beyond the standards of the regular owner. And since you didn't do that, you should have been super careful, more careful than the owner. And if you're not, you called Gneva Vaveda. And since you are a paid worker, you got to pay for that. Weiter, another case, cases and beautiful, beautiful cases. Evu. You know Evu was? He was the father of Rav. Evu was Rav's father. Evu was Rav's father. Question from Zoom?
Rabbi.
Yes. Let me just mute us. Yeah. Pause. Again, Evu, which is Rav's father, Afkid Kitna Beirunia. He was Mafkid. He deposited Kitna, some cotton wool, or Kitna could also mean flax. By the house of Runia. Runia is a person, I don't know what his Torah level was. He's also mentioned in Bava Basra, Daf Hey Berech. Yeah, Runia was the guard. We don't know if it's the Shomer Chonim or Shomer Socher at this point, okay? But Rab's father, Evu, gave some pieces of flax to Runia to look after. I'm going away. I have nice fancy flax, pieces of flax. Look after them for me. Okay. Ozal Shavu. Shavu was a thief. That was his name, Shavu. Shavu Shvoy. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce the name. Yeah, Shavu, the known thief, went Shamtei Minei, snatched it away from him. And in the story, the way the Rishonim say, he snatched it from behind him, like a pickpocketed him. Yeah. In other words, he took it from him without him knowing. All of a sudden, Runia, the guard, realizes, oh, what happened? It was snatched away from me. And then what happened next? Lasoif Hukaraganav. At the end, yeah, this guy, Shavu, which was trying to hide himself, Hukar, at the end, police identification, they realized who the Ganav was. Now comes the whole sugya, which is also in Bava Kama, who's supposed to deal with the Ganav. One would say the ganav. We know the ganav is. Let the ganav pay the balabais. Now the ganav is not very ready to pay. You have to take him to Beis Din. Of course, the ganav says this and that. Who's going to deal now with retrieving the money or the actual wool, the cotton wool from the ganav? Also, l'kamed Rav Nachman. They went in front of Rav Nachman, who was the famous Dayan. Chayve was mechayev. Yeah, it was mechayev him to deal with the ganav. Now, in other words, he says like this. First of all, Rashi says chayve l'shalem. In other words, you have to pay. You have to pay or deal with the ganav. In other words, the one who has to either pay money and then deal with the ganav is the guard, Runya. In other words, you don't tell me, they found the ganav, go deal with him. Since at the end of the day, it is your fault that there was Gneva, you're Shomer Sochar, right? Now they found the ganav, great. You pay me. I'm now representing the owner, which is Evu. Pay me cash, and you go deal with the ganav. Yeah, I trust you. Pay me. You want to get your money from the ganav? That headache should be yours, not mine. And that's what Rav Nachman said. Okay, all very good. Yeah. Now I'm ignoring Sochar. Did it say Sochar? Sorry. Mistake. There was a mistake. Thank you for keeping me on my toes. No, I'm not saying. Yeah, it was a mistake. I'm not saying it was Shomer Sochar. It was a Shomer X. We're going to see soon. Yeah. But Lamaisa, the idea is you have to pay. Why do you have to pay? Because you're Shomer. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And therefore, the ganav is there. You deal with him. I need my cash now. You found the ganav. Good for you. Go break your head with him. Frag the Gemara, and now we're going to see what kind of shomer he was. Lema, let us say that Rav Nachman's psak pliga de Ravuna bar Avin. Let's assume it looks like Rav Nachman, who says that Runya, the guard, has to pay himself or has to deal with paying. Looks like he's arguing on Ravuna bar Avin. The Sholach Ravuna bar Avin sent a letter saying, Nigneva be'oines. Let's say something was stolen by oines. Who's chayiv b'oinsin only? No. Shoyel. Regular shoymrim, all three are potter me'oines. So let's say something was stolen b'oines. V'acha kachu kar ha ganev. Yeah. And then the ganev was recognized. Okay, we know what the ganev was. Im shomer chinam hu. Let's say it's a shomer chinam. Now, Rotza, even though it's not his fault, because it's oines, but lemaisa, now we know who the ganev is. There is a certain level of responsibility, interestingly. However, Rotza nishba, Rotza oisei mudin, which means if the guard is a shomer chinam, he's not mechuyev to deal with who? With the ganav be'oinsin. Was oinsin, a highwayman came with a gun. If I want, I can be nishba. A shomer chinam can get completely scot-free. Whenever we say shomer chinam is potter, means what? He has to make a shvua that was oines. Make a shvua with the Sefer Torah, honest guy, it was oines, off the hook. That's an option. If you want, some people don't want to take shvua. Even if they're not 100% right, they're scared of the idea of shvua. You have another option. You found the ganav, great. You go deal with the ganav and pay the bailim. It's a form of payment. Now, that is where we have a problem, because now I'm revealing the story. Runya was a shomer chinam. And Runya is a shomer chinam. What did we just say now? Has the option of either dealing with the ganav or getting off the hook by making a shvua. It's not what Rav Nachman said. Rav Nachman told Runya, who apparently was a shomer chinam, that he has to deal with the ganav, even though the shomer chinam. Wow. In other words, we're not going to be mechayiv you because you're honest, maybe, but at the end of the day, you still have to deal with him. You have to deal with him and give the money, and that's not what we're saying over here. Continues the statement of Ravuna bar Avin. If it's a shomer sochar and it was theft, even though it was be'oinsin, now we found the ganav. A shomer sochar, if the ganav is there, part of his responsibility is to actually deal with the ganav and get the money to the bailim. But one thing we see for sure, there's a steer about shomer chinam. Maybe it's a machlokes, okay? A shomer chinam, it was stolen from a shomer chinam, not your fault. But do we say that now with the ganav is here, do you have to dig deep and get the money away from the ganav to the owner, or can you get scot-free and say I'm nishba and I'm done? Answers the Gemara, it's not a machloikes. Omar Rava, no, it's all good. It's all one big happy family. Hossam, we're in the first wide line, by the way. Over there, the story of Runia, it wasn't such an oines. Gavri de Parmuska Havu Kaimi. Close by, there were people of the government. There were government officials. Today, I would call them the police. Police people were around, were available, were approachable, even though there was no phone, but they were nearby. The Ir Ramakala, had he raised his voice and shouted, thieves, thieves, help, help. He could have shouted for the police to come. Havu Asu, they would have come. Umatzlinle, they would have saved the cotton wool, which means very, very simple. It is Poshut says Tosis, Shia. It's true that the Ganav came unexpected from behind. You didn't realize what's going on, but 2 seconds later you realized. You could have shouted, police, police, thief, thief. There's police forces around, yeah. Happened near Migrash Arusim, near Happened 38, somewhere nearby. The police were available, and you didn't call out, you didn't scream for help. Therefore, you're downright pusher. When you have a shomer, there's another steer. Let's review now. When you have a ganav, which was beoinsin, meaning there was a theft, he snatched it from him. No police, nobody's there to help him. That's oinus. Later, is the shomer mechuyev to deal with the ganav? Mapitom. He could if he wants to avoid shvua, but it's oinus. I'm a shomer chinam. 2 + 2 = shvua, and go home. If I'm scared of shvua, I can deal with the ganav and get the money to the bailing. Okay. Over here, it wasn't such an innocent story. He, meaning Runya, could have called for help and didn't, for whichever reason. There was negligence. For that, he has to pay. He has to pay for that. He has to pay, and really, says Taisus, it has nothing to do with dealing with the thief. Even if the thief wouldn't have been found, he'd have to pay. That's a chiddush because it's Poshet Pshia. Pshia, you have to pay for. That's the end of the story. Baruch Hashem, I think we have it clear. We can even start the next Mishnah. Yes, next Mishnah is in the same theme. What's called oinus? What's not called oinus? We have established now. What Gneva Vaveda? Anybody? Are we smarter now regarding Gneva Vaveda? Yes. Gneva Vaveda means what? Anybody? Same as the Baal. Oinus means I did more than the call, better than the Baalim. And by the way, according to our new Pshat, Yaakov Avinu did not do beyond his call. Yaakov Avinu did as he should. A Shomer Tzachor should really do the maximum to look after it. Yeah? More than the Baalim. Okay? Yes. I don't know what maximum is, and it's a good point what Ellen is saying. I agree that there's still unclear levels. You definitely have to do more than the Baalim. And if still something out of control happened, and it's really out of control, these are thieves and lions and lions and thieves and wolves, as we're going to see in the next Mishnah. That's called an oinus. 1 second. The next Mishnah is going to pinpoint better what's called an oinus, what's not called an oinus. Let's say the Mishnah is going to differentiate between 1 wolf and 2 wolves. Let's say things like that. Okay, I'm allowing questions. Yes. Thank you very much. We're going to see this Mishnah. We're going to see the Mishnah tomorrow, Metzia Hashem. Thank you very, very much for participation. Everybody here in Ahavas Shalom, everybody in your YouTube channel and Torah Anytime. Thank you very much. Hatzlacha, and see you tomorrow.
Bye, Rabbi.
Thank you.